This is going to make your eyes water. I know it did mine. You're going to want to sit down for this and maybe pop a Valium. How much did my excision surgery for my endometriosis end up costing? Let's get into it. I had my first ever surgical treatment for my endometriosis back in March. I was diagnosed with stage 4 deep infiltrating endometriosis, which had penetrated my bowel wall, so I knew that I might need a resection, and it had also decided to develop on my diaphragm. When I got that diagnosis, that is when I decided I can't put this off any longer. I don't want a bowel obstruction and I don't want my lungs to collapse. I actually managed to find an NHS gynaecologist consultant that I trusted, and we agreed that I would be put on the waitlist for surgery, initially expecting a 6-month wait. I later found out that it was actually an 18-month minimum wait. And on top of that, they wouldn't be able to treat my diaphragm because they didn't have suitable specialists at the hospital. So I asked myself, do you want to wait at least 18 months for one surgery and then wait God knows how long for a second surgery? Or do you need to get serious now and look into private healthcare? In my mind, it was, you're going to pay anyway. You can either pay now and have the surgery done privately, or you can wait and pay the price of that later. And of course, I decided I'm going to pay now. Now, my sister, who also has endometriosis, had excision surgery done back in 2021. She had private health insurance through her employer, and her surgery at that time cost £11,000. So I did a bit of math and said to myself, it's now 4 years later, so it's probably going to cost approximately £5,000 more. So I prepared to pay anything between £15,000 and £20,000, which was already a lot for me. So I began my search for a specialist, and I repeatedly was hearing the name Mr. Denis Sepov. He was constantly being referred to as the best, and after my first consultation, I felt in my gut, I decided he's the one. He was very thorough with his investigation of my condition, and he basically had every kind of specialist that a woman with endo might need in his surgical team. My surgery would involve the treatment of multiple organs, which required various specialists. I agreed to have 3 surgeons at my surgery: gynecologist Mr. Denis Sepov to treat the vast majority of my pelvic endometriosis, colorectal specialist Mr. Danilo Miskovic to treat my bowel and perform a possible resection, which he ended up doing, and hepatobiliary specialist Mr. Vincent Yip to treat my diaphragm. The laparoscopy would also be robotic-assisted, meaning all of the surgeons were trained to use the robot, which is a pricey piece of equipment that's meant to make surgery minimally invasive compared with traditional manual laparoscopy. It's meant to mean better post-op outcomes in terms of things like pain, symptoms, complications. So my consultant then provided me with quotes for various post-op outcomes, where I might need to spend anywhere between 3 to 7 days in hospital. And this greatly depended on the type of bowel surgery I would end up needing. A bowel shave is less invasive than a resection and therefore requires most likely less downtime in the hospital. I know what you're thinking. So what the hell were you quoted? Get to it. So for your worst case scenario, 7 days in hospital following a bowel resection to make sure that I'm a-okay to go home, I was quoted £40,000. Yep. I was in shock. And I can't tell you how much I was losing my mind over this, because via my girl math, it should have cost maximum £20,000. How was I now being quoted double? And at this point, I was convinced this is the surgery I need to have. I need to have this surgery. Of course, that price was screaming in my ear. You can't do this. It's impossible. It was absolute torture. I would try to talk myself out of it, saying things like, who do you think you are? Do you even need surgery? You've got by for the past 10 years, okay? And at the same time, all I was hearing on the other end was, I can't let this get worse. What if endo makes its way through my bowel and they need to remove it? What if it penetrates through my diaphragm and gets to my lungs? The thought was suffocating. Honestly, when I tell you I was an anxious, nervous mess, I was an anxious, nervous mess. For the first time in my life, I laid it all out for my family and I asked for help. And I was mortified at the thought of being so sick that I needed a 40k surgery. Because in all honesty, I'd never really accepted being sick as my reality before. Because I'd always managed somehow. And I was the healthy one in my family. Now I had to be serious with myself and with them and tell them that if I was to wait on the NHS, I may end up with irreversible colon and diaphragmatic damage. Luckily for me, and I haven't taken this granted for a single second, but I was told right from the get-go, we're going to make it work. You've done everything you can. The facts are what they are and you need this. So we'll help make it happen. When it came to having my surgery, because I had a shorter stay in hospital, so I was there for 5 days as opposed to 7, the actual total cost of my surgery ended up being just above £33,000. That's the hospital and the surgical team fees combined. The vast majority of the fee is the hospital's, approximately 3/4 worth, which feels absolutely insane, but it is what it is. Now that I'm 6 months post-op, if I could go back in time, would I do it all again? Fuck yes. Abso-fucking-lutely.